The ABC Sunday night movie will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following ABC Sports Special.
Since 1911, it has been the dream of every American driver to
This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by the Champion Spark Plug Company, the Spark Plug Specialist. By the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. By Toyota, who invites you to see all the 1980 cars and trucks at your local Toyota dealer. Oh, what a feeling to drive a Toyota. And by Monroe, makers of Radiomatic and Monroe Magnum 60 shock absorbers.
The month of May begins for ABC Sports at the Kentucky Derby. From there, it's on to Maryland for the Preakness and Monte Carlo for the Grand Prix. The climax of this busy month of sport is here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And on this particular holiday weekend, the weather is perfect today. Clear skies, a warm sun, no wind. The crowd, as always, is an event unto itself. Close to 400,000 altogether gathered for a national occasion. 33 drivers competing for more than $1 million in prize money and the honor of winning the 500. The Speedway itself covers almost 600 acres. That's about 4 golf courses. In fact, there is a golf course in the infield. But now it's time for a moving and nostalgic moment. The traditional singing of Back Home Again in Indiana, this year by Dr. Richard Smith of the Purdue University Glee Club.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon hastens all its fragrance from the fields I used to run. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, then I long for my Indiana home.
Well, it doesn't matter where your real home is. At this moment, on the day of the Indianapolis 500, I can assure you everybody here is a Hoosier. I'm Jim McKay reporting from our ABC commentary position. And every year here at Indianapolis, the story is at least slightly different. This time, it's not so much a matter of youth against age, although our defending champion, Rick Mears, is only 28, as experience against inexperience. We have 10 rookies among the 33 cars this time, and that's the first time that's happened, that we've had that many rookies since 1965. That's 15 years ago. Last year we had only one rookie in the race, Howdy Holmes, and he didn't make it this time. On the other hand, we still have experience here. Every driver on the first row is over 40 years of age. Let's bring in now a man who is not over 40 years of age, I don't believe, but he certainly has experience, 3-time world champion, Jackie Stewart. What about this experience, inexperience business?
Well, the position as I see it here, you've got these 10 rookies. Now, rookies although not necessarily young, as you say, are fresh to the Speedway, super fast Speedway, it can be very dangerous. On the other hand, you've got these experienced drivers. You've got 7 past winners, a tremendous bank of knowledge there, and they're fast drivers, always able to win. My fear, Jim, is that the rookies are going to be a little over-enthusiastic because the cars this year are not as powerful as before, and therefore driving talent is going to be of a very high level of importance.
And when you get to this point, just a matter of minutes before the race, something begins to happen to a man's stomach and to his mind, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, a lot of things begin to happen, but he's got to keep himself very cool, very calm, and very collected. It's at this time that experience really shows, and of course, the more experienced drivers, the drivers who have been here before, can deal with it that little bit better.
You can almost see it in their faces, as a matter of fact.
Well, when they're putting their helmets right now, Rick Mears has done it before, so he knows. There's a man who's done it so many times. He's cool, calm, and collected. He wants to be sure that everything's right. He's got to dress properly. You don't get a second chance before this race. There's no point in having a crease somewhere that'll be uncomfortable after 450 miles, because then what was a crease to begin with feels like a mountain inside your crash helmet. Bobby Unser, there's a man who could win this race and really who knows how to do it. It's immensely important to have your frame of mind right, and when they fit their balaclavas up and when they buckle their helmets on, Jim, they've got to be having their head only on one thing, on how they're going to start. And this, for me, was the most important thing. If I could get my head right for the start, I would be right for the race.
I've had the feeling all weekend that you think that there is perhaps more than the usual possibility of incidents in this race. Why?
Jim, I'm frightened about it because, first of all, we've got a lot of rookies. Secondly, the power is not as surplus as it's been in the past. We've got about 600 horsepower. And round this track, it's almost flat out. That's to say the car stays flat and accelerated for the whole way around the racetrack if the driver's got it right. And if anything goes wrong, he's got no surplus power to use up if the car starts to slide. And if that happens, and we've seen it happen during this month of May, I think really we've got a possibility of a few spin-outs and hopefully not too serious accidents.
We'll be back in a minute for the Indianapolis 500. That's Mrs. Mary Holman, the widow of Tony Holman. She'll be giving the command to start the engines for the first time since 1976. It'll be only 2 men because Janet Guthrie, the only woman ever to drive at Indianapolis, she drove in 77, 78, and 79, did not qualify this time. So it'll sound like it did in 76.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
And the usual response from the crowd of some 380,000. There is Johnny Rutherford. He's won this race twice. Mario Andretti, he won in 69. He'd love to win it again 11 years later. Bobby Unser, he's won it twice. Rick Mears, the defender. Al Unser, a 3-time winner. Of A.J. Foyt, the only 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500, and Gordy Johncock, who also won the race. Among them, the men we've just seen, as I toed it up, have 14 victories in this race. That's something for the 10 rookies in the field to think about. There's the field of 33 cars, 3 in each row, of course, and when they head into turn 1, it's really something. All cars have safely gotten started. One driver, Mel Kenyon, once said when they head into turn 1 the first time, it's like going down a street at 185 miles an hour and then making a left turn into a dark alley. On the first row, a trio of veterans, all former winners, all over 40 years old, all tough, smart, and talented. Sitting on the pole for the 3rd time in the 500 is Johnny Rutherford of Texas, a 2-time winner of the race, a handsome, articulate father of 2. Rutherford drives the number 4 Chaparral, powered by a British Cosworth engine. The car, a ground effect vehicle, was built by the Texas oilman, engineer, and former driver, Jim Hall. In the middle of row 1 sits a man who missed the race entirely last year, Mario Andretti of Pennsylvania. Andretti, winner of the race 11 years ago, hasn't finished in the top 5 since then. Last year, he was driving at Monte Carlo on the day of Indy. He returns in car number 12 this year of the Roger Penske team. Like all of the cars in the first 2 rows, it's Cosworth powered. The first row is rounded out by the older of motor racing's most famous brother act. At age 46, Bobby Unser of New Mexico is seeking his third Indianapolis victory. He has finished in the top 10 in 12 of his 17 previous Indianapolis starts. His car number 11 is also entered by the Penske team, thus the first row. If youth will be served this year, it will be served from the second row. Jerry Sneva in the middle has just turned 31. Spike Gehlhausen on the inside is only 25. And on the outside of the second row sits the defending champion, 28-year-old Rick Mears of California. Last year, he brought a fresh face and a great new talent to victory lane. Again this year, he drives a Roger Penske car, number 1. He'll be starting directly behind Bobby Unser and right in front of Al Unser. Starting side by side on the third row are half-brothers. Johnny Parsons, driving the fastest qualifying Offie-powered car, is the son of a former Indy winner. His half-brother, Pancho Carter, is also the son of a former driver here, Duane Carter. On the outside of row 3, Al Unser, 40 years old, winner of the race in 1970, 71, and 78. A win today would allow him to join A.J. Foyt as a 4-time winner. He and brother Bobby already total 5 wins. Al drives for a new team this year, Longhorn Racing. The only man to have won the race 4 times, A.J. Foyt, will start directly behind Al Unser in row 4. At age 45, Foyt is as determined as ever and may well go with Al in pursuit of the leaders in the early going. The chassis of A.J.'s car, number 14, is called a Parnelli, but has undergone typical Foyt tinkering and modification. In a minute, we'll be back for the race. We're back at Indianapolis, where the cars are underway, preparing for the start of the 1980 Indianapolis 500. A crowd thought to be a record, estimated at possibly more than 400,000 people is gathered here. Down in one of the pace cars is a Hoosier born and raised, a resident of Indiana today, my ABC Sports colleague, Chris Schenkel. It's that time again, Chris.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim McKay. You talked about thousands of people as we slide through the number 1 turn and the long chute going into number 2 by the VIP suites. I have never seen so many people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I've never seen them in such a good mood. Possibly the weather has something to do with it. About 78 degrees, and we have a playful front row. Bobby Unser keeps running up near our rear bumper. Mario Andretti is calm in the middle, and Johnny Rutherford is waving to everyone as you see a shot now from our ABC camera located in the rear of the pace car. It's a beautiful sight as we come down here now. We do miss the late Tony Hulman, but we have some consolation because his daughter Mary Hulman George is here in the back seat with me, and the car is being driven by Tony George Hulman, the grandson of the rebuilder and the man that perpetuated this spectacle. It is a spectacle of racing indeed, but it is today, as we drive down the backstretch now, a spectacle of people. It is the epitome of Americana, I believe. You see them dressed in every manner, fashion, or shape. They have been known to have streakers here. Now we're picking up our pace a little bit. Tony George driving the parade lap car. Bob Stemple is in the other. And here comes Bobby Unser. He wants more speed. This is always the case because we're only going 50 miles an hour, and those powerful Cosworth engines, well, they need more revolutions per minute. The track is cool, and the tires will be heating up a little later. You'll see them waving and staggering across the track to warm up the tires or to score them a bit. As we now leave number 3, we go to number 4. The parade laps are over for 2 of the cars. We're going to say goodbye from here as the faster pace lap is coming up, preparing for a safe, clean start. 200 laps, 500 miles. Incredible start coming as we now go to Jim McKay. Take it, Jim.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. Chris Schenkel riding in one of the pace cars down there. Now let's set the field for the 1980 running of the Indianapolis 500. On the pole in that yellow car, number 4. On the right of your screen is Johnny Rutherford, a 2-time winner. In the middle of the first row, number 12, Mario Andretti, another winner. And on the outside, a 2-time winner, number 11, Bobby Unser. The second row, number 35, Spike Gehlhausen. Number 7, Jerry Sneva. Number 1, Rick Mears, the defending champion. By the way, those yellow things you see are the flags on the rear of the pace car fluttering in our picture. In row 3, number 15, Johnny Parsons, whose father is driving the pace car today and who won this race 30 years ago. Number 10, Pancho Carter, half-brother to Johnny Parsons. And on the outside of row 3, number 5, Al Unser. Row 4, on the inside, number 66, Roger Rager. Number 23, Jim McElreath, at age 53, the oldest man to drive in the race. And on the outside, the redoubtable number 14, 4-time winner, A.J. Foyt. Row 5, 5, number 40, Tom Bagley. Number 95, Larry Cannon. Number 26, Dick Ferguson. In row 6, number 25, the speedy Danny Ungaius. We'll watch for him to move up in the early going. In the middle, number 20, Gordon Johncock, another former winner. And on the outside, number 96, Don Whittington. He's one of 3 sets of brothers in this race. We'll mention his brother in a moment. Row 7, Tim Richmond, the rookie who has caused such a stir here in this month of May. In the middle of row 7, number 70, Gordon Smiley. And on the outside, the veteran George Snyder, number 16. In row 8, number 29 is Billy Engelhart. Number 44 is Greg Leffler. Number 18, Dennis Firestone. All 3 of them are rookies. In row 9, number 99, Hurley Haywood, a veteran sports car driver. In the middle, number 48, Mike Mosley. Number 94, Bill Whittington. Row 10, 38, Jerry Carl. 8, Dick Simon. 2, Bill Vukovich. The final row, number 3, Tom Bigelow. 46, Gary Bettenhausen. And number 89, Tom Sneva. That is the field for the 1980 running of the Indianapolis 500. Now as they move towards the start, again, the yellow car, the one on the pole, we would expect to move out in front. Jackie Stewart with me, and they're getting into pretty good order, Jackie.
Yes, the pace car has gone off. Yes, it's off the racetrack, Jim.
The starter, Duane Sweeney, up there in the left of your picture, gives them the green flag. They're racing at Indianapolis. Bobby Unser going for the lead on the outside, but it's Johnny Rutherford down low in the yellow car. Unser still trying to get by him. They go between turns 1 and 2. It's Rutherford taking the lead. Bobby Unser made a very hard-charging move on the start, but he didn't make it. The noise that you hear is the traditional skyrockets going off. It has nothing to do with the race. That's nobody's engine that you hear. But Rutherford in the yellow car, number 4, is the leader. Bobby Unser in car number 11 is second, and number 12, Mario Andretti, is third. A good start.
Well, a very clean start, and Johnny Rutherford there, pole position holder, the man who's been the fastest car really consistently over this month of May. He didn't hold the fastest lap during the month of May. That went to the young rookie, Tim Richmond, but Rutherford's car has been going very well. It's handling well. It's the Jim Hall car. It's an aerodynamic masterpiece developed by Jim Hall, and right now he's already taken off quite an advantage on Bobby Unser.
Rutherford, Bobby Unser, Mario Andretti, Rick Mears, and Spike Gehlhausen. Those are the leaders at the moment. But there's a gap already between the first 3 cars and the rest of them.
Now they're getting onto that long backstretch, and Johnny Rutherford's looking in his rear view mirrors. You can see his head cocking to the right and to the left to have a look and see how far. And we've got Mike Mosley in the Dan Gurney car. How sad for Dan Gurney, and Mike Mosley already blowing a lot of smoke. I saw it right in turn 1 as he put the power on into turn 1. Smoke already came out of the car, and this must be a dreadfully disappointing thing for him, because he undoubtedly sees it in his rear view mirror, and he'll be told, of course, by Dan Gurney in the radio set. And here we have another Larry Cannon.
Larry Boom Boom Cannon slowing down already on the race course. The attrition rate could be very high today after the heat begins to get to these engines. You know, we have 2 cars in trouble already. Meanwhile, Rutherford, just as smooth as he could be, the unofficial speed of the first lap, 180.722.
Well, there's Mike Mosley in the pits now. What a sad situation so early in the race. The Dan Gurney team have been having troubles all season. It didn't seem that they were going to make it for a while, and there's Boom Boom Cannon low on the racetrack there. You saw him being passed at such a high speed, probably 185 miles an hour there, by that man, Johnny Rutherford, the man who's leading the Indianapolis 500. And Mario Andretti coming very close to the wall as they come out of there, then going right down this long stretch in the front here in front of so many people, 238,000 people in this racetrack seated alone. Can you imagine that?
We've just had an unofficial lap of 186.721. The standings again in the lead, the Jim Hall car, driven by Johnny Rutherford, number 4, the yellow in there. Behind him, number 11, Bobby Unser, and then number 12, Mario Andretti. The 4th place car, a little bit further back than that, is the defending champion, number 1, Rick Mears. Behind him, Spike Gehlhausen, and in 6th place, number 10, Pancho Carter, who's running very well.
That's very impressive at this time for him. Isn't it amazing that the Roger Penske entered cars are now... And we have a yellow flag.
We don't know why.
Well, it could be that car on the racetrack could be considered an obstruction because it's going so closely. We have a car, Boom Boom Cannon, going round, and it could be that Boom Boom, because of that, it could be that that car be considered a hazard isn't an obstacle, the yellow flag can be put out.
Well, that is Larry Boom Boom Cannon, as they call him, one-time barber from Danville, Illinois.
And he's taking off his seat belts. That looks a bad sign for him.
This year, they are allowed to bunch up under the yellow flag, so it'll be pretty much a new race when the green comes out. But it's Johnny Rutherford, the leader, Bobby Unser second, Mario Andretti third, and Rick Mears fourth. The Roger Penske cars running second, third, and fourth behind the Jim Hall entry. We'll be right back. We're back at Indianapolis, and they're running again. The green flag out from starter Dwayne Sweeney. Johnny Rutherford in the lead. Bobby Unser is second. Mario Andretti is third. Side by side, we have Rick Mears and Spike Gehlhausen almost in a tie for fourth place. Immediately, Rutherford on it. The cars had bunched up, and he's starting to move out again immediately.
Ironic, really, that this car, the Jim Hall car, the Chaparral, last year was run by Al Unser, and similarly, the cars seem to have the legs of everybody else. I have to predict at this stage that if he has no mechanical trouble, he has the best chance of winning this Indianapolis 500, which, of course, would be a tremendous step forward for him and for Jim Hall. The big thing here is to make the car last, how well it's been bolted together, how long these mechanical parts will hold together. But he's going to get a tremendous amount of pressure from these people behind him, because they're in a position to give him a lot of pressure. But Spike Gehlhausen has got himself into fourth position, so that's a pretty good thing for young Spike.
He's moved ahead of Rick Mears, as a matter of fact, and just behind Rick Mears, we still have Dwayne Carter, who's driving a very good race. 185.567 unofficially on that last lap, Jackie.
Well, these first three cars have taken a little bit of advantage there, as you can see them coming down that long stretch there. First three cars have got a bit of a breather, then comes Spike Gehlhausen. But look at this man. Johnny Rutherford's been able to stretch that advantage already just after that green flag has been shown. And there you see Larry Cannon in the pits. What a sad day for him. He had to push his car in from turn 4. He got his seat belts off. He pushed the car. There he is walking behind the car there, trying to hope and pray that his mechanics can get it bolted together. Also still in the pits is Mike Mosley.
By the way, A.J. Foyt is in 9th place at the moment. Al Unser is in 13th place. We'll be keeping an eye on them. But there's the leader once again, number 4, Johnny Rutherford, the Texan, who has won this race twice before. The man behind him, Bobby Unser, has also won it twice. The man in 3rd place, Mario Andretti, won it once, and that was 11 years ago in 1969. There is Mario, who's had a really...
They're yellow or bright orange overalls there. This is in the turn 2, entrance to turn 2. He obviously had a problem getting out of turn 1, came into heavy contact with the wall. The driver's now being lifted out of the car. The steering wheels can be removed from the cars, and by so there the driver's walking out himself, Jim. That's a wonderful sight. A racing driver, I just always, see myself in a similar set of circumstances. I think of the family or my friends watching, and suddenly, if you walk away, you know that they know you're okay.
Let's have another look at that now, Jackie. 30-year-old Dick Ferguson of California into the barrier.
Well, he hits it very hard. He hit that metal barrier so hard there. The car shedding bits of material, wings, wheels, tires. The front end took a very heavy impact. Also, the rear end of the car. He could easily have damaged his legs because, frankly, Jim, there's very little protection in these cars at the front end. There's a cocoon of protection there, but at the same time, the driver's legs are way out in front of him, in front of the wheels, in fact. So therefore, if he comes in contact with a wall, it certainly can be dangerous.
And now we have another car in trouble. This is Bill Whittington in car number 94. Remember, he's one of a pair of brothers here, 3 sets of brothers in the race. He and brother Don won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in France last year, and it looks like they may have to cut him out of there, Jackie.
He looks like he's trapped. Just as I was saying about the legs, his legs seem to be trapped. That's a problem for him, but they're certainly working well on him. He's got the best people there.
Okay, there is that barrier. By the way, it's a brand new barrier just put in this year by the new president, John Cooper. Let's learn something about the safety here.
Much has been said about how dangerous the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is, how many people have been killed or seriously injured. Well remembered are the spectacular and sometimes horrific accidents that have taken place. Mike Mosley came out of turn 4 and did this, smote the outside wall, and then seemed to aimlessly find himself going down the racetrack until again he smote the wall with the driver halfway out the car. Then, in 1973, this horrific accident occurred. Salt Walter crashed heavily, spewed fuel down the racetrack and also into the spectator areas. Remarkably, got out without killing himself. Then Tom Sneaver in turn 2, a ball of fire, and again the driver survived. As a past president of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, I probably have examined more racetracks around the world than any other race driver, and I would have to declare that this speedway is as well equipped for safety as any track in the world, both for drivers and for spectators. Let's have a look at some of the facilities that we're all enjoying here. First of all, let's look at this. This is a debris fence, and it's all the way around this racetrack, 2.5 miles, all on the outside of the racetrack. This reinforced upright here that holds this debris fence itself. Hosers, just in case a car goes through there, it retains the car on the racetrack. As they go up, they get a little smaller, but still very strong. And well have we seen those work in the war of 1966 on the very first lap when so many wheels and cars went into that fence. And again in 1973 at the start of the race. Down below that is this wall, concrete against reinforced, all the way around the racetrack on the outside of the racetrack. In the inside of the racetrack again, a concrete wall on the front stretch and on the back straight of the racetrack. Now let's have a look over here at the first and second turns and the third and fourth turns. This year there's been introduced 4,000 feet of metal Armco barrier, and that's been introduced to protect these banks that have caused accidents such as this, when a car has been launched into the air precariously and sometimes tragically. These have been well looked after. Now let's have a look at the pit lane itself. On race day, there will be 105 marshals carrying fire extinguishers down this particular pit lane. Out in the racetrack, there will be 40 more. Then around the racetrack, there will be 40 trucks with fire extinguishers and personnel on them. There will be 10 more well equipped with medical people and so forth to look after the drivers. And many times have we seen those trucks getting to a race car before it's even stopped during an accident. In the infield, we have a hospital, and we have 7 first aid posts, 250 medical personnel looking after that, including 80 doctors. There are 17 ambulances around here and 2 helicopters, all in the interest of safety. Indianapolis is well equipped, because remember, motor racing is dangerous, and it always will be dangerous. But it is important that when an accident does occur, that it's dealt with quickly and efficiently. This does happen at Indianapolis.
And right now, as you see, the safety crew has been on hand with Bill Whittington. They have him out of the car now. He's on the stretcher. Seems to be favoring the right leg quite a bit. You see his picture in the upper left-hand corner. Bill Whittington, his brother Don, still in the race. Bill is 30 years old, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The yellow flag is out at Indianapolis. A lot more to come here, so stand by. We'll be back. The crowd of almost 400,000 still looking on at Indianapolis as Johnny Rutherford leads. We're under the yellow, and we'll be back after this word from our local stations. We're back at Indianapolis, where virtually all of the field has taken advantage of a yellow flag to make pit stops. That has jumbled the standings tremendously. We may get the green flag right now. The current leader is number 16. There's the green flag out. George Snyder is the leader in car number 16. Number 20, Gordon Johncock, second. Number 8, Dick Simon is third. 25, Danny Ungaias. We would expect to see the previous leaders coming up, catching them and passing them pretty soon. That's Gordon Johncock taking the lead from George Snyder now. Johncock, who won this race back in 1973 in a rain-shortened finish. That was the year of great tragedy here. It took 3 days to run the race. It was the one where Salt Walter had the crash on the start of the first day, where unfortunately Swede Savage eventually died of injuries suffered on the final day. Johncock was the winner that year. George Snyder is a veteran, never won the race, has never come close. There's Hurley Haywood's car in the pits, number 99, a veteran sports car driver and a good one. Goes way back into the 60s, but his car is ill at the moment.
Certainly is, but there Gordon John Cock, who's chief mechanic, George McNaughty, has won 6 of these Indianapolis 500s with drivers like Graham Hill and A.J. Foyt and many others. So he knows what he's about. He also had a serious crash here the week before the first qualifying weekend, and in fact broke a bone in his ankle, and it was questionable whether he would even make the race because it was a high-speed accident. And right now, driving that blue and white car number 20, Gordon John Cock's taking an advantage going onto this long back stretch on George Snyder, who's driving an A.J. Foyt car, who's in second position.
Bill Whittington has been taken to the hospital. We'll try to get a further report. It seems to be a leg injury. And now Bobby Unser moving into second place in car number 11. He's really flying. But this was a good break for John Cock. Gave him a chance to be competitive because he started well back. So Bobby Unser in hot pursuit. 2 former winners of the race. Bobby, one half of the most famous brother act in American racing. Al Unser back in the pack there somewhere.
Well, I think you're just going to see Bobby Unser eat up Gordon John Cock just in a few minutes, and there's a situation, a crash in turn 1. A crash in turn 1 on the outside of turn 1, and here you see the car coming to a stop there.
See if we can pick up the number 35 there, Spike Gehlhausen, who started on the inside of the second row. Spike has had more bad luck in turn 1 than anybody I can think of.
Well, I tell you this, he got that accident right because he stayed close to the wall all the way there as long as he could, because once the car hits the wall, if a race driver can stay on the wall, it's much better. Spike, in good condition, running down the racetrack. He will in any case be taken to the field hospital because it's mandatory here, in the interest of safety, that a driver goes for a complete checkup just in case there's something wrong there that can be later found out to be dangerous.
Dwayne Sweeney with the yellow flag. It looked like he might have been 2 abreast. Let's see, Jackie, as he comes into turn 1 there.
Okay, now he starts to spin. You can see the car spinning there because the smoke is on there. The other cars, luckily avoiding him very close there. Now watch this. He comes up here and hits this wall hard. And that was Danny Ungaius that nearly hit him. And he keeps close to the wall. He stays close to the wall. Instead of going down the racetrack in front of all the other cars, a race driver has to have presence of mind to do this. You hit the wall and you stay on it if at all possible. The car not so severely damaged. It's amazing, isn't it? Consider that's a concrete wall, reinforced, and he probably hit it at a speed of about 160 miles an hour.
Here's another look at it, Jackie.
Very close behind that other car there. He looks as if he just lost it. The tail end went out and suddenly he just pirouetted. Now look at this. So close was Danny Ungaius there, just going out of a picture, and he hits that wall. That's tire smoke you're looking. That's not smoke from the engine. He hit it very hard. The front end of the car, that wheel out of alignment there. And there he's, look at the angle of the rear wheel. He's hit it very hard, but the car's pointing in towards the wall again, and there it hits it hard. He's okay.
25-year-old Spike Gehlhausen, who lives just 4 blocks from the racetrack here in Speedway, Indiana. A report now from the track hospital from our colleague Sam Posey with Dr. Hanna.
I'm with Dr. Hanna at the hospital. Doctor, you have reports on 2 drivers.
Yes, we do have, Sam. First, Dick Ferguson is all okay with exception of a fracture of one of the small bones of his left small toe. That is being taped and he'll be released. Now, Bill Whittington is in at the present time. He has, I feel, a very definite fracture in the right lower leg near the ankle. He's in X-ray at the present time, but we feel quite certain there is a fracture there. His condition otherwise is good.
Okay, Dr. Hanna, Bill Whittington, a winner of Le Mans last year. Do you see that this injury might in any way hamper his return to racing?
Well, not, of course, it may hamper it for a period of time, of possibly 6-8 weeks, something of that sort, in so much as it is his right leg that is involved. However, I do feel that he will be able to get back to racing.
Okay, good news. This is Sam Posey with Dr. Hanna at the Speedway Hospital.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. The standings now, we have Gordon John Cock, the leader, then Bobby Unser, George Snyder, Tom Sneva, and Mario Andretti, and we will be back at the Speedway in another minute. The green flag is out again at Indianapolis. They are racing, and the battle will continue. We'll pick up again between Gordon John Cock in the lead and 46-year-old Bobby Unser in close, very hot pursuit.
Bobby Unser stopping his prey here. Car number 20, the blue and white car of Gordie Johncock. Very talented driver, a man who's won this Indianapolis 500. The man behind him also has won it. Bobby Unser in car number 11, and he's trying to get him on the backstretch. He just passes him. He just drove past him. It looked like he had such a lot in hand there. Of course, he came out of the draft. He slipstreamed him, and he just caught him at the right part of the racetrack. So Bobby Unser's our new leader in the Roger Penske prepared car number 11. And there he goes. Look at that car go. It's amazing. That speed shot to me, Jim, is always impressive.
That gives you some realistic idea of how fast they're going. That yellow car in third place, by the way, almost unbelievably, is Tom Sneva in car number 9, who started last in the field not very long ago.
He's really climbed his way through this. Of course, a very experienced driver is Tom. He really is fast. The first man to do 200 miles an hour around this speedway during qualification. But that's Bobby Unser we're looking at right now from Albuquerque in New Mexico. He's a tough man. I always look at him and think he's tough.
He has to be. So is his whole family, a family of race drivers. There you saw Tom Sneva going through, and a moment before we picked up another yellow car, Johnny Rutherford. There, just out of your picture again. We'll be seeing him, but there is the leader. Second place car, John Cock, and you see way up ahead, Bobby Unser, the leader in the race. The green lights on, as you see, and this immense crowd looking on.
It seems to be now that Gordon Johncock, in fact, is holding up these cars immediately behind just a little bit, because Bobby Unser's just pulling away from everyone with a tremendous amount of ease. Look at the lead he's got there. There's a bit of shuffling going on there behind, and that may be slowing the others up just a little bit, although Gordie Johncock does have a little bit of a lead there over Tom. And there's Rutherford, the other yellow car on the right-hand side of the picture. Johnny Rutherford and the chaparral coming up alongside there.
Right alongside Tom Sneva, now taking Tom Sneva and going out after Gordon Johncock. So he has moved from 6th place to 3rd very, very quickly, has Johnny Rutherford.
Well, he's quick. I had to say at the top of the program, as I said, that this has been, for me, the best race car on the racetrack this month of May. They've really come well prepared. It's almost gone too good for them, in my opinion. I'm always frightened when things... And look, he's going to have a go for 2nd place, but he shut the door. Gordie Johncock was not opening the door for any dear friend there.
You saw two very experienced race drivers going at it with each other, and Johncock called Rutherford's bluff. As simple as that.
Well, he was able to do it. He carried it out very convincingly. Gordie Johncock's a small man, a man of average height, James.
As we would say.
But there he goes. Here's Rutherford, and he's done it well this time. He really gave it the right amount of timing. His timing there was absolutely perfect. There was no way that Gordie Johncock could have retaliated to that move of the Texans.
And now it will be Bobby Unser who immediately, right now, picks up Johnny Rutherford in his rear view mirror. Rutherford closing fast now on the leader. Unser still with a sizable lead, however.
Well, when you're driving a bright yellow car, you can't hide. But look at the lead that Bobby Unser's got. It will be interesting to see now if Rutherford can close that lead, because he's already pulled well away from Gordie Johncock.
He certainly has. Bobby Unser, as you say, a tough man from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And here, the Lone Star, Johnny Rutherford from Fort Worth, Texas. They're both former winners of the race. So is Johncock. And here is Mario Andretti in car number 12, taking 3rd place from Johncock. Andretti, remember, won here 11 years ago. He won the World Championship of Grand Prix racing a couple of years ago, but since then has had no luck at all. And he's had no luck in Indianapolis for a long, long time.
And that 83 there is the speed, 183 mile-an-hour average there for Bobby Unser. That was his pit signaling him that information, just to tell him how fast he was going. It would be wonderful if Mario did so well in this race. And here we have Tom Bagley. He's got his hand in the air, trying to tell everybody that he's stopped, trying to tell the emergency crews to come out. They've thrown the yellow flag because, of course, Tom Bagley is a hazard to other drivers.
So we've had plenty of yellows so far today. Pit stops coming up under the yellow. Let's see how a pit stop works.
Time is of absolute importance in a pit stop in Indianapolis. For every second lost on the racetrack is the length of a football field. 12 seconds is a real good stop at Indy. That means to say 12 football fields or 1,200 yards in length would be lost by this driver. 5 men are allowed over the wall to work on the car. Let's try and see what each of those 5 men do. It's got to be a team, but each man has a job to do. This man is the jack man. When the car comes in, he puts onto this nozzle an air jack, which lifts the car up very surely. In the past, many cars have fallen off their jacks in the old method. This way it's sure. This man here is changing the rear right wheel. When the car comes in, he's got an air wrench. He undoes the stud, pulls the wheel off. The jack man leads the new tire onto the car, and the wrench goes back in and tightens up a stud that's already fixed to the wheel. This man here is the fuel man. 38 gallons of fuel are pumped into the car in about 8 or 9 seconds. Then there's this man. He's the vent man. He's the man that takes the pressure from the fuel tank and allows any surplus fuel to go back into the reservoir, therefore saving the fuel. The air jack is taken off, the car is laid on the ground, and they push the car out of the pits. Let's see it one more time. Remember, a pit stop in Indianapolis has to be choreography. It has to be everybody doing the job they should do in the absolute time. About 8 times the car will come in, and each man each time has to do it exactly. If a wheel comes off for Mario Andretti, it could be a disaster.
Okay, we're still under the yellow, and there is Bobby Unser, the race leader, into the pits. We have word, by the way, under this yellow, unofficial word that Pancho Carter may have picked up a lap penalty. That would be a very, very tough break for him. He's been running very well. Well, we have Chris Schenkel and Dave Dials in our ABC Sports Scoring Central. They'll be checking up on such matters. In fact, we'll be going to them very shortly. But there is Unser back out onto the race course. The light's still flashing on the pace car, and that means that they'll not be going for at least another minute or two. You saw the stop car still on the race course. So in a minute, we'll be back with Chris and Dave.
Along with Chris Schenkel, this is Dave Dials. And there is a special magic, a uniqueness to the Indianapolis 500 that is unlike any other event in sports history. First of all, the Indy 500 attracts more people than any other single-day event in the history of sport. And I call it a goosebump event. I've been here many years. I still get goosebumps. Johnny Rutherford told me he does. You've been in the pace car a lot of years, Chris. I know you were out in the parade car today. You had goosebumps. Not quite as many maybe as you did in 1971 when you crashed.
No, as a matter of fact, I retired 2 years ago when Tony Holman passed away, but I was talked into going back in the parade car this year, and I found it was much too slow, averaging 52 miles an hour. I was as impatient as Bobby Unser was on the outside of the first row, because everybody comes here for action. This is where it is. They're out here for blood. They want to see everything happen. Well, here are 4 drivers that haven't gotten beyond the 30th lap in this race, Dave Dials. Larry Cannon in an Offenhauser out on the second lap with a broken camshaft. Dick Ferguson, the first of the 10 rookies in the field, an accident hitting the wall in the 9th lap, as did Bill Whittington in a Cosworth. He's out on the 9th lap by hitting the wall. And Spike Gehlhausen, the only Hoosier-born driver in the field of 33, well, he had an accident out in the 20th lap of this race.
We just got a hospital report. Spike Gehlhausen is all right, though. And we should point out, Dr. Tom Hanna and his staff of about 300 medics there keep a close watch on everything. They attend to about 1,500 cases every race day. And if we were real lucky, none of them serious. And he told me the other day that we're ready for everything. But it's mandatory that every driver who's involved in any kind of an accident has to go through an examination.
Dave, already we've had 4 yellows, and that brings the average speed through 20 laps down to a mere 108 miles an hour. But perhaps that'll change as we go back to a green flag right now.
Right, a green flag coming up with Jim McKay.
All right, Chris and Dave, and they are, in fact, racing again. Gordy Johncock in the lead. Pancho Carter's car, number 10, in second place. And we have Johnny Rutherford moving up again very quickly in his car, number 4.
You know, John Rutherford, it seems to me, it doesn't seem to matter what part of the racetrack he's on it. He seems to be able to race competitively, and this is the sign of a good chassis. When a car is working well, it doesn't seem to matter whether he's in traffic or whether he's on his own. He can just more or less do what he likes. And that's Gordon Johncock's wife, by the way, that we saw, pretty lady sitting there, I think probably biting her fingernails just a little bit, because any lady whose husband is leading the Indy 500 must be in very pensive mood.
I don't know how they do it, but watch Johnny Rutherford here in car number 4, continuing to move up as he did just a few minutes ago. But every time there's a yellow flag, it seems to cost him on the juggling that results from the pit stops of just about all the cars. Boy, that car can really move.
Well, he's just very good. He's very clean, and he seems to be very confident. As I said earlier, I think the only problem is it's been doing too well during the month of May without troubles, and that can often happen. This man had plenty of troubles because, as I said, Gordon Johncock, who's still leading the race, had that heavy crash just prior to the first qualifying weekend, and we all thought that he wouldn't be back for the race. But here he is, leading the 500.
And Pancho Carter second and Johnny Rutherford third. We talked about the beautiful preparation of the Jim Hall car that Johnny Rutherford is driving. You've driven for Jim Hall in the car called the vacuum cleaner that had a mechanical suction device on it, later declared illegal. You know just how good an operation he runs.
Well, he does run a wonderful operation, more than anything else. Hey, look, we've got Carter going for the lead. He's trying to get it right now, and he's got it. He's sneaked inside the inside. That's the classical way to do it. You can't go on the outside, but he did a clean pass of Gordon Johncock right there.
Okay, so Pancho Carter in first place. Remember, he's the son of a race driver here at Indianapolis. His father, Dwayne Carter, finished fourth in the race. That was his best finish way back in the early 50s. Pancho himself has finished fourth in the race, but never better. Now here comes Rutherford, moving by Gordy Johncock, again into second place. He just picks them off, one at a time.
Well, he sets his sights, and he seems to get what he wants. As I say, his chassis seems to be going very well for him. He seems to be able to run in any part of the racetrack and makes these passes with the least amount of effort.
Now he's closing in on Pancho Carter. And here we have rookie Tim Richmond. Now, we talked about him at the beginning of the race. He is now moving into the picture in car number 21.
Well, Tim Richmond's a young man who I have a very high regard for. He's a young man I met a few years ago, and certainly someone I think we're going to see an awful lot more of in the future. He's adapted himself so well to this Indianapolis Motor Speedway. No easy match, because remember, it's a very fast speedway, and to come here as a rookie and to do as well as he does, this very month of May, Tim Richmond had the fastest time on the speedway right through qualifying. Amazing.
Boy, you have to be a very cool young head to suddenly find yourself out there before hundreds of thousands of people, sandwiched among the greatest race drivers in the United States. And this is your first time.
Well, it's a big feeling, because right now, and here's Rutherford going for the lead, and he's done it again convincingly, just as he's done it before. He just seems to be able to come off of those long stretches, and here Alan's car is being pushed away. There's a disappointed man. 3 times the winner of this great race. He must be very sad.
Out of it in the early going, Al Unser, but Johnny Rutherford continues to lead. And here we have Pancho Carter into the pits. Was in second place, but he just pulled off the racetrack into the pits here. I don't know whether it's trouble or routine. Looks routine.
It does look routine, yes. The team are setting about it. They're taking the air hose away. They're not changing outside rubber. They're just putting fuel into the car. You see the time on the right-hand side, the corner there, and there's a picture of Pancho, a man who had a head of the accident, 14.1 seconds. He had a terrible accident at Phoenix, Arizona a few years ago. And now Johnny Parsons got his hand in the air. Isn't it tragic?
Yep. Johnny Parsons, who is the half-brother of Pancho Carter, whom we just saw. Now, here they are, the standings. Johnny Rutherford, Bobby Unser, Tim Richmond, the rookie, Rick Mears, and Gordon Johncock. It's going to be a race today at Indy. We're back at Indianapolis, and we've got a fire in this car in the pits. Number 70, Gordon Smiley of Garland, Texas. However, looks like they've got it under control. Does he still in the race car, Jackie?
Well, you know, it's alcohol fuel here.
Yeah.
It doesn't burn with a flame the way you normally does, and sometimes, in fact, they're trying to get the driver right now. He's trying to get him outside now because...
Well, you can't see an alcohol.
With alcohol, you do not see fire, and you only feel it when it's too late, when it burns you, but it seems that he's okay. It doesn't look like he's burned, but he's walking away.
Here comes the green flag again. So they're racing once more in the 1980 Indianapolis 500. There is Mario Andretti going for the lead in car number 12. Again, the standings have been shuffled under the pit stops. You see Pancho Carter second. Now, Mario is actually the dark blue car number 12 right there. He appears to be in second place behind a slower car, but he is, in fact, the leader in the race. moving into an apparent first place now.
So Mario takes first place in blue car number 12, going in there to turn 3 and 4 here as he goes round this super speedway 9-degree banking there as they come out of this short chute.
The car that appeared to be in first place was Jim McElreath at age 52, the oldest man ever to drive in the Indianapolis 500. He's actually a lap down. But the leader, Mario Andretti, Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Let's get to know him a little bit. Victory Lane is a place visited occasionally by most race drivers. For Mario Andretti, former Indy winner, former world champion, it's home in Nazareth, PA. Jackie visited him and asked why he lives in Nazareth.
I've been asked many times as to why in Nazareth. First of all, it's because when my parents, when we came over in '55, this is where we settled, where we had our relatives. And I found no reason to go anywhere else, quite honestly. I think I have no desire to go anywhere else. I love the town, I love the people, and so I'm not looking for anything different.
Looking back in your career, you've won the Indy 500, you've won the Daytona 500, you've won the World Championship. What is the single most important achievement for you?
The most important thing that I've achieved career-wise is the World Championship, and the most important single event that I won is by far Indianapolis. I'd say it'll be anywhere between 40 and 45 that I'm going to hang it up. Whether it'll be 41 or 45, I don't know. I feel that I'm going to be as busy as I've ever been. It's not a matter of slacking off and say, oh, okay, I'll do just 4 or 5 races a year, and then that'll do enough for me.
It would be awful easy for critics to say, Mario's got all of this. He's got all the money. He's had all the victories. What does winning mean to him anymore?
Well, that's what I mean. I resent that sort of attitude, or when I hear it quite a bit, or at least I feel it. I can almost see it in some people's faces, you know, when they talk to me. But like I said, deep down, I know what I stand for. I know what I want. I know how badly I want it, and that's all that's important. But I got to prove it.
Right. I remember once in my career, I was being written off in the way that you're suggesting some people might be saying to you. And the biggest thing in my whole life was to come back.
Well, you know what? Now you know what's grinding inside of me right now.
Mario Andretti, he was born in Italy, moved to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, still underneath, even while he was moving up in USAC racing, won the Indianapolis 500. His burning ambition was to be the World Grand Prix champion. He achieved that a couple of years ago. Since then, however, has fallen on very hard times. What would really mean something to him now would be that second Indianapolis victory. Now here is rookie Tim Richmond down low, trying to get past Rick Mears, and no, did not get by this time.
Last year's winner certainly did the job.
Certainly did. Tim Richmond, a name to conjure with in the future.
It's been a tumultuous month for Tim Richmond. Tim, this must be the biggest month that's ever happened to you.
I tell you, Jackie, a couple weeks ago was probably the best week of my life and the worst all in 7 days right there. You know, we ran as fast as we did, and we kind of crashed the car, but now the crew's done a fantastic job, and we're back ready to run the race. So I tell you, it's been really fantastic for me.
I'd have to observe as a race driver, right now in your career, you're sort of all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, it must be like a bottle of champagne being opened for you, because you're all bubbling full of life.
Yeah, I am, and I don't know what to say. I just, it's all new for me, doing things like this right here, and I don't know, it's amazing, and I really appreciate, you know, the fact that I've been able to come here and have a chance to do what we've done, and I hope I can come back many years and keep doing it.
Just at the airport this morning, when I came in here, a man came up to me and says, what do you think of Tim Richmond? And he said, you know, last year, I was in Gasoline Alley and I had a cashier's check for $200,000 and nobody was going to give him a ride. Now, there must be a lot of people who suddenly get on the bandwagon of Tim Richmond because you're the hottest young thing around.
Well, I don't know. 200,000, huh? Did you bring him over here with you today? I don't know. Last year, I can remember, we pounded the pavement here. I made 100 laps around here every day trying to find a ride, and I'm really glad I didn't have a ride last year or come up with one, because now I had a little bit more experience and was able to come here and know a little bit more about the type of racing that we're doing here. So, I don't know, bring him $200,000 checks on, I guess.
So what's Tim Richmond's greatest goal?
The greatest goal? I want to be one better than A.J. Foyt.
better than A.J. Foyt, a young man not lacking in dreams or in confidence, is Tim Richmond, now in 5th place in the race. Just behind him, Bobby Unser, for example, almost twice his age. Look at this going on here. There is Rick Mears in the blue car, then Richmond, and then Bobby Unser.
Well, Tim Richmond right now is ahead of A.J. Foyt, so maybe that dream's coming true.
Yeah, well, at least for the moment. But in his mirror, as I said, he sees Bobby Unser, a man almost twice his age, a tough, experienced, two-time winner. So Tim Richmond, at the very minimum, is learning an awful lot out there today.
Well, when your mirror's full of Bobby Unser, you're maturing awful fast because you could be pressed into a mistake very easily. And Bobby...
Watch Bobby. Watch him.
Oh, he's got it the inside. Incredible. He's made the pass.
He's done it. Back at Indianapolis, and the leader is in the pit. Mario Andretti in car number 12 of the Roger Penske Racing Team. Out after his second victory at Indianapolis, but the first race 11 long years ago, remember. Another beautifully coordinated pit stop. Marvelous teamwork by the Penske crew.
Absolutely a beauty to watch.
Look out, we've got a problem. A crash on the track. That's 23 there is Jimmy McElreath, the veteran, 52 years old. And there, 66 is Roger Rager. The engine in his car started light as the block of an engine in a school bus. Believe it or not, he's from Mound, Minnesota.
Well, right now, he's a lucky man. He's okay. He's getting out of the... Oh, he's annoyed. He's upset. He can't get out of the race car. He's really upset. You can see the anger boiling out his crash helmet. His car hit the inside of the guardrail. He damaged his front right wheel. The nose cone of the car came off, and then he collided with the rear end of his car on the guardrail from where he stopped. But Jim McElreath was the one who spun out there. There he is on the left-hand side of your picture, just going out. He spun out. He went right up to the top end, and he crashed into that wall backwards. You can see him sliding along the wall. Now he goes down to the inside of the racetrack, down the racetrack in front of the other cars. And it's here that Roger Regan, you can see him going in the grass on the lower side. A rookie, perhaps, not as well used to the high-speed accidents as some of the other drivers. Of course, it was a veteran who spun in front of him. But that's the nose cone of Regan's car falling apart now. Oh, they were both very lucky to get out of that.
They certainly were, and obviously his frustration is that it wasn't his fault. Oh, boy, heart-stopping event here at Indianapolis in the 1980 500. Just amazing how these men do it at all. What does driving a race car do to a man's physical functions? His heart rate, for example. Well, during the first week of qualifying, Dr. Bob Ornott, a Boston physician who has worked extensively in the training of many of our Olympic athletes, applied an Oxford heart monitor to several of the drivers to record their heart rates before and during their runs. Here's what we learned.
Just as dashboard instruments display engine function, heart rate is the body's tachometer reflecting frustration, fear, exertion, excitement, and lowered by tough physical conditioning and a cool head. Scott Walter, a well-trained and exceptionally fit athlete, has a resting heart rate away from the track of 54 beats per minute, a rate more typical of marathoners. During this practice lap, you can see his heart rate on the dangerous short chutes around 130 beats per minute, dropping almost immediately to around 104 on the wide, flat straightaways as the demands on his driving skills ease. He attributes his quick recovery and lack of fatigue during the 500 to boxing, running, and weightlifting. As he approaches turn 3, his heart rate rises again. This is Spike Gehlhausen about to leave the pit for his qualifying run. At home, his resting heart rate is around 64 beats per minute. But look at it in the excitement of competition. His heart rate, driven by raw adrenaline in the pits, averages 135. Usually responding to the body's demand for oxygen, drivers admit to being pumped up for the short qualifying sessions by sight alone. Many drivers we tested said fear of damage to the car and not their personal safety made them anxious. Gehlhausen's response, though, was the thrill of racing alone gave him this high-level intensity. Howdy Holmes proved to be quite the opposite. At rest, his pulse is in the 50s. Calm in the pits at the starting line, his heart rate is around 95. Now look at him on the track. It's increased only to 110. In a spectacular display of coolness under fire, Howdy twice barely misses catastrophe with no change in his heart rate. First here, coming out of turn 1, he almost hits the wall. The heart rate doesn't budge after this close call with disaster. Then, in another attempt the following day, unexpectedly his car gets loose. Again, Howdy doesn't flinch. Race car drivers as athletes demonstrate their exceptional endurance and coolness under conditions of extreme heat, mechanical punishment, life-threatening danger, and physical stress.
Interesting scientific piece. There is a growing junkyard by turn one of all the cars that have crashed in that area so far. They try to keep them away from the crowd. Later they'll be removed entirely, but that's about $500,000 worth of race car there right now. We're going to get the green. Here they come, racing again in the Indianapolis 500. And we've got Johnny Rutherford in the yellow car 4 in the lead, followed by Rick Mears, Bobby Unser, Mario Andretti, and rookie Tim Richmond.
So we've got past winners and experienced drivers in the top 4 places, and then comes young Tim Richmond. He's certainly impressing a lot of people, but right now the man I'm very impressed by, and also the car I'm impressed by, is that Chaparral driven by Johnny Rutherford. It certainly is looking good in there. You've got there's Bobby Unser on the right-hand side of your screen. Rick Mears is only